Part 121. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1201. Interesting. It turned out to be the Fire Wolf gang. Mr. Chen sneered slightly. It seems that over the years, the strength of a sect like the Lin Hualang gang has improved a lot. It's really unbelievable. Chen Lao's words immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the Fire Wolf gang. These people looked at each other, and then staggered over. The bald man in the lead looked at Mr. Chen with disdain. Old man. You said you are so old, and you still want to seek death? Are you really impatient with life? The bald man held the knife with a sneer, pointed at the sharp blade and said, "Do you know that in a place like the Flame Cemetery, if our Fire Wolf gang wants to kill you, it's as easy as chopping melons and vegetables?" As he said that, the bald man raised his sword and started to chop. But the next second, his body stopped moving, as if time had stopped. He stood there blankly, only his eyes were rolling, and his eyes were full of fear. "Boss? What's wrong with you?" A subordinate came forward without knowing why and patted the bald man's arm. Click. But the next second, the arm of the bald man was broken directly. The broken arm was like a stone, falling to the ground and shattering. At this moment, everyone's eyes were instantly attracted. Everyone looked at all this with surprise and disbelief, especially the people from the Fire Wolf gang, who looked at Mr. Chen as if he were looking at a monster. "You, what kind of monster are you? Dragon God realm? Is he a strong dragon god realm? The boss is a strong man in the little golden god realm. The person who can kill the boss instantly with one move must be in the dragon god realm." Everyone in the Fire Wolf gang was also a little panicked and retreated one after another. However, it was obviously a bit too late for them to react now. Under the spread of Mr. Chen's mysterious power, a group of people from the Fire Wolf gang were also controlled in place and became motionless. It's like a group of lifelike stone statues. If you hadn't seen them, their eyes were still rolling, and you might have thought that they were really just a group of statues. Is this the power of space? After Xiao Xian took a look, his face was full of solemnity. Although he and Old Chen had been together for a long time, today was the first time that he saw Old Chen take action with his own eyes. What he didn't expect was, as a master of the Dragon God realm, Mr. Chen cultivates the power of space. You know, although after reaching the Golden God realm, cultivators can feel this ethereal power of space, but to truly understand the power of space, they have to reach the Dragon God realm. I'm afraid that if they fight head-on, even Old Man Bian may not be his opponent. It doesn't matter, it's just a good time to stretch your muscles, Mr. Chen said with a smile. In addition, Xiao Xian usually doesn't praise people very much, so what he said at this time made Mr. Chen very happy. Mr. Chen can practice this great way. I wonder if I can bring some pieces of black ice back to the White Flame Valley. It's extremely hot sometimes in our White Flame Valley, Bai Ling said. What? Is it surprising? Mr. Chen said calmly. To put it bluntly, on this great Dao continent, there are probably not many more cultivators cultivating the power of space than there are cultivators cultivating the divine soul. Although they had not known each other for a long time, the coachman still did his duty along the way. Unexpectedly, he finally arrived at the Flame Cemetery, but still lost his life. Xiao Xian said quickly, "Although we have entered the Flame Cemetery, we don't dare to let you, Mr. Chen, be the groom. How does this work?" Xianbing is not an item from the Flame Cemetery, but comes from several icebergs from outside. Not to mention that they are expensive in the first place, the freight cost along the way is a big number, said Mr. Chen. However, when you get to Tomb Spirit Sect, you will naturally know that this thing is indeed worth the money. All right. Their tendons and meridians have been imprisoned by me with the power of space. They don't have much time to live anymore. Don't ignore them. Mr. Chen didn't care. This fire wolf gang can be regarded as the street rats in the flame cemetery. After understanding this, Xiao Xian's face became more solemn and he said directly, I didn't expect that what Mr. Chen cultivated was actually the power of space. No wonder he had the courage to lead us to this flame cemetery. Therefore, the power of space is a cultivation path that is no less difficult than the power of the soul. It's such a pity that the coachman died inexplicably at the hands of such a scumbag. The strength is not very good, but the people inside are all bad and pus-prone, and it would be a shame not to die. Xiao Xian and Mr. Chen also nodded secretly. But it is enough to prove that his talent and strength are definitely the best among the Dragon God realm. It was such a surprise. Bai Ling couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Okay, Xiao Xian wiped his sweat and said, speaking of which, this junior is really interested in what this mysterious ice is that can withstand such strong firepower. Mr. Chen, have you never shown your strength in front of us before? Seeing Mr. Chen take action in person, Bai Ling was also very surprised. Normally, you have a good temper. Why did you just say so when you heard about the Fire Wolf gang? Did you take action? In fact, some outer sect cultivators with relatively poor understanding do not understand the power of space that much even if they reach the Dragon God realm. It's better for the juniors to come. Just ask Mr. Chen to guide you from behind. Although Mr. Chen looked nonchalant, Xiao Xian still took the initiative to take the driver's seat. Xiao Xian said with emotion, Mr. Chen, the fact that you can enter the Dragon God realm using the way of space is enough to prove that your strength is extraordinary. That's it. Xiao Xian understood this, but at the same time, he secretly despised the Fire Wolf gang in his heart. That junior is really impatient. Xiao Xian smiled. Mr. Chen shook his head and sneered, generally, when sects do things like robbing houses and blocking roads, there are some rules. They just ask for money and they don't hurt people casually. But this Fire Wolf gang is different. Generally speaking, if you encounter them, it's okay to be strong, but if you don't have enough strength, you will always lose a few lives. Then I will be a groom for you for once. Mr. Chen was very excited and wanted to take the position of the groom. Wear it 1,000 times, but flattery never wears it. Then, how should they deal with it? Bai Ling looked at the Fire Wolf gang standing in the middle of the street like puppets, a little confused as to how to deal with it. The Tomb Spirit sect is located in the northeast of the Flame Cemetery. If you keep walking along this road, you will soon see the Tomb Spirit section, Elder Chen said. It's better for the juniors to come. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1202. You want to take Xianbing back. Ha ha ha. I don't know how many people have wanted to do this in the Flame Cemetery. But really speaking, this matter is not as simple as imagined. Mr. Chen laughed. It was like hearing something so funny. This time, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling were a little confused. No matter how useful this Xianbing was, wasn't it just a consumable? As long as you have enough money, can't you buy it? Speaking of which, although Bian Valley is not as good as the big sects in Zhongzhou like Tianli sect, it is still considered a strong sect in the outside area. As the most talented disciple among the sect, Bai Ling can buy a few pieces of Xian. It doesn't seem like a big deal to go back to the ice, right? Why is Mr. Chen so surprised? Could it be said that this Xianbing is not something ordinary people can buy? Thinking of this, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling couldn't help but look a little suspicious on their faces, and said directly, Mr. Chen, listen to what you mean. Is this Xianbing not something ordinary people can get? Then tell me, why is this Xianbing so valuable? You should know that among the 4 continents of the Dao continent, our Nanzan High continent should have the highest temperature. Whether it is the central continent or the outside area, the temperature is extremely high. Various cultivating sects want to choose one. A cultivation place with a suitable temperature is not available, Elder Chen said, and these mysterious ices come from a place called the bottom of the iceberg. Under the iceberg? What kind of place is this? Xiao Xian was stunned. This is the only place in Nanzan Haizhu where the temperature is extremely low. It can be said that ordinary people cannot come here. If the black ice in this flame cemetery comes from there, then it is really precious and unusual. Bai Ling nodded. That's it. Xiao Xian also nodded. In fact, after he came to Nanzan Haizhu, he did find that the climate of Nanzan Haizhu was indeed not as distinct as the eastern wilderness continent with 4 distinct seasons. Instead, it was hot all year round. Yes, since then, things like Xianbing are really valuable for a reason. In the Flame Cemetery, Xianbing is controlled by a sect called Lingbing Holy Section. If all sects want to purchase Xianbing, they must go through their channels, Elder Chen said. Therefore, if you want to take Xianbing away, you must first get their approval. Since we are open for business, shouldn't we be able to buy it if we have money? Xiao Xian was a little confused. Of course not. Because this black ice is only available to the Lingbing Holy Sect, their prices are rising every year. Sometimes, there are other requirements, which makes the sects in the Flame Cemetery miserable. Mr. Chen said, I also heard Master Tomb Spirit say this. Hearing this, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling couldn't help but feel a little surprised. You know, for ordinary people, intimidation and threats are indeed very useful, but this is the Flame Cemetery, and any sect that can establish a sect here is a powerful sect. Want to pose a threat to such a sect? Yes. Such a sect would be extremely dangerous anywhere, let alone a dangerous Flame Cemetery. Doesn't the Tomb Spirit sect know the danger of internal division? At the entrance of the Tomb Spirit sect, there were many powerful practitioners holding swords and looking awe-inspiring, as if they were wary of something. Is this so strong? What do these people do? I'll tell you some things, so that you don't accidentally do the wrong thing later. But, I remember your old man said that Tomb Spirit sect is the strongest sect in Flame Cemetery. Can they just let themselves be threatened by this so-called Spirit Ice sect? Xiao Xian was a little confused. There is discord within the Tomb Spirit sect. Seeing this, Xiao Xian also looked solemn and did not walk over directly. After the carriage drove away for almost an hour, Xiao Xian also noticed that there was a huge sect in front of him, with 3 big characters written on the door, which was the Tomb Spirit sect. Yes, there are about 3 Dragon God Realm powerhouses in each section. Mr. Chen nodded. Hearing this, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling also nodded. It is worthy of being the strongest sect in the Flame Cemetery. If this Tomb Spirit sect adds up all the Dragon God Realm experts, it will be close to 10 Dragon God Realm experts. You are right, Tomb Spirit sect is indeed the strongest sect in Flame Cemetery. You know, for any sect, if there is discord within the sect, it will definitely be the most unstable factor in the sect. Elder Chen said, there are 3 factions within the Tomb Spirit section. One is the old sect leaders faction represented by the Tomb Spirit Old Man, the other is the young faction led by Tomb Spirit's son Tomu Sheng, and the last faction is the garrison of the Tomb Spirit section, the garrison represented by Captain Mu Tianlong. They also knew that in a chaotic place like the Flame Cemetery, it would be a good thing to have a powerful sect to protect them. I think it's better for us not to go there for the time being, Xiao Xian said with serious eyes. It seems that they are all disciples at the peak of the Blue God Realm, and they seem to be preparing something. This time, we are going to the old sect of the Tomb Spirit Master. As long as we have his support, there is no sect within the Tomb Spirit sect that we dare to provoke. Xiao Xian and Bai Ling were surprised again. Since we have to go to Tomb Spirit sect later. Mr. Chen nodded and continued, however, there is a big problem among the Tomb Spirit sect, that is, they are divided into 3 factions. In name, they are all members of the Tomb Spirit sect, but in fact, they are constantly fighting among themselves. The contradictions that arise are numerous and extremely complex. A sect of this level would probably have a certain say even in Zhongzhou, right? Then the strength of this Lingbing holy cult must be extremely powerful, and it is almost certain that there will be several strong ones in the Dragon God realm. So, the strength of these three factions is about the same, Xiao Xian roughly understood. Bai Ling also looked confused. Mr. Chen, this should be the Tomb Spirit sect you are talking about. Have we finally arrived? Mr. Chen stepped down from the carriage. When he saw the situation at the entrance of the Tomb Spirit sect, his expression became a little more solemn. The relationship between the old man Tomb Spirit and his son Tomb Sheng has always been at odds. There have always been conflicts between the two factions, but Mu Tianlong has always remained neutral and is someone both sides want to win over. Could it be that the Tomb Spirit sect is usually so vigilant? Isn't it a bit strange? Mr. Chen said. Xiao Xian and Bai Ling looked at each other and couldn't help but secretly sighed. Three factions. Just ignore the moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1203. No need to panic. I'll contact the old guy from Tomb Spirit and ask him. Mr. Chen acted relatively calmly, as if he didn't take these things to heart at all. He took out a special bone flute and blew it gently. The bone flute makes a strange sound. In an instant, it also attracted the attention of the practitioners at the door. Not long after, a cultivator who looked like the leading disciple took the initiative to come over, raised his hands and asked, I am a disciple of the Tomb Ling sect, Tom Cheng. I wonder why you come to my Tomb Ling sect. We are here to pay homage to the master of the Tomb Spirit sect, the real Tomb Spirit. Xiao Xian bowed his hands and returned the greeting. My master, Master Tomb Spirit, is recuperating and there is no one around. Please come back. When Tomb Ching heard Xiao Xian mention the name of Master Tomb Spirit, his tone suddenly changed and he said coldly, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. What does it mean? The visitor is a visitor, just to pay a visit. Why are you so arrogant? Bai Ling was a little dissatisfied. When she was in Bian Valley, she was considered a talented disciple in the sect and was loved by the old man Bian. She had never experienced such an attitude. What? Is it possible that you still want to force your way in? When Tomb Ching heard this, he drew his sword directly, his eyes cold. This brother doesn't have to be like this. Mr. Chen was once an old friend of Gazong's Tomb Spirit. I came today just to pay my respects and have no other intention. Xiao Xian still said politely in front of Bai Ling. Humph. I've seen many of you people. You're just the one sent by that beast Tomb Ling to find out what's true. Go back and tell your master that Tomb Ling is very good. If they want to fight, then come. Tomb Ling's eyes were blue. All are hostile. Is that old man from the Tomb Spirit sick? Mr. Chen was a little surprised. This guy is also a strong man in the Dragon God realm who cultivates the soul. How could he suddenly get sick? Stop pretending. In the past few days, there have been 8 if not 10 people who have come to inquire about the truth. Do you really think I can't tell? Tomb Ching sneered. We're really not. Xiao Xian was about to explain. At this time, an extremely powerful and cold soul power suddenly appeared from the sky and crushed everyone's heads. Although he could feel that this divine soul power was not directed at him, he was still very uncomfortable being suppressed by this divine soul's pressure. I've met the old sect leader. I've met the old sect leader. Tomb Ching and others hurriedly knelt down on one knee. Only then did Xiao Xian and Bai Ling notice that an old man with a white beard wearing a moon-white robe suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Ha ha ha. Old Tombstone, you are already a lot older, but you still play the tricks of young people? What? Do you really think I will be bluffed by you? Seeing the white-bearded old man, Mr. Chen stepped forward with a smile. Old Chintu, aren't you in Zhongzhou? Why do you have time to come to the Flame Cemetery? Is it possible that you always wanted to come to the Flame Cemetery? The Tomb Spirit Master teased instead. Mr. Chen obviously hated what the Tomb Spirit Master said just now and struggled to continue speaking. Since you are the sect master's guest, let's invite him inside. Old Chen, please come in quickly. Get up and come in. You guys, can't you see that the old friend of our sect leader is here? Why don't you prepare a clean room quickly? He. It's all the blame on that white-eyed wolf in Tomb Sheng. The Tomb Spirit Master was smiling. Heard about this? After hearing these words, Mr. Chen's expression changed slightly, but then he sighed and said deliberately. Old Tombstone, you are right. I did leave the sect for a woman back then, but what happened with you and your junior sister back then, I feel now. I heard that Mr. Chen planned to continue. Mr. Chen asked directly, would you like me to step in and help you with your treatment? Now, Tomb Sheng has reached the Golden God realm. You can't compete with him. Even if you meet him, I'm afraid you are no match. The old man of Tomb Spirit shook his head. What does my teacher usually tell you? You need to deal with it calmly when encountering problems. How can you achieve great things if you are so reckless? Ahem. You were plotted against by Tomb Sheng. Mr. Chen frowned slightly. There was a feud between Tomb Spirit Master and Tomb Sheng father and son. This was also known to everyone in the Flame Cemetery, but who knew that he would be plotted against? Only then did Tomb Spirit Master let go of Mr. Chen's clothes, with a look of helplessness in his eyes. Old Mr. Chen, what you are good at is the power of space, not medical skills. How can you possibly heal? That's all, if the boat capsizes in the gutter, it's okay not to mention it. Seeing that the Tomb Spirit Master did not want to say more, Mr. Chen frowned slightly, but he still said, I remember that you entered the Dragon God realm with your soul. With your ability, you should be a rare opponent in this Flame Cemetery. What is it? Who can actually hurt you? Hearing these words, Mr. Chen also showed an embarrassed look on his face, and said, you old tombstone, don't talk nonsense about old friends, I'm here today for business. Old Tombstone, I always remember you as rough-skinned and thick-bodied. What's wrong? Have you been sick recently? Ahem. Although this pair of old naughty boys were both strong in the Dragon God realm, now, neither of them used the power of the Great Dao. Instead, they were like 3-year-old naughty boys, fighting in front of everyone. Yes, Tomb Ching also quickly lowered his head. This actually made Xiaoxian Bailing, Tomb Ching, and others embarrassed. Thank you, you too, please. Tomb Ching also respected Xiaoxian a little more, and then said, as for the sect leader's injuries. The Tomb Spirit Master suddenly panicked, and hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully stopped Mr. Chen, obviously not wanting him to continue talking. If he hadn't designed to frame Master wouldn't have been hurt. With an apology on his face, Tomb Ching awkwardly held his hands to Xiaoxian and Bai Ling and said, you two, what happened just now? Yes. However, seeing the actions of the two people, Xiaoxian and Bai Ling felt a lot more at ease. This at least proved that Mr. Chen and the Tomb Spirit Master had an irreversible relationship. From now on, they would also have the support of the Tomb Spirit sect in the Flame Cemetery. However, in just a few words, Mr. Chen's past affairs were completely exposed. Xiaoxian had no intention of pursuing it. No need to explain. You, the punishment elder who gave up everything and left Zhongzhou alone for a woman, can you do anything serious? I don't believe a word of it, he. Cough 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 cough. I can also see that you are doing this for the safety of Master Tomb Spirit, so there is no need to say more. On the other side, Tomb Ching gritted his teeth and said, if I see him, I will cut him into pieces. Don't talk nonsense. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1204. Careless. That bastard said he wanted peace talks, and I didn't think much of it. Who knew that this guy actually set a trap for me? The grave spirit master complained. However, there was no hint of anger in his tone. This point also made Mr. Chen sigh. You old guy, you are too soft-hearted. If you keep cutting off, you will be disturbed. Tell me about your white-eyed wolf son, what is there to cherish? If I were, just kill it with one move. Haha. Tomb Spirit Master laughed, full of bitterness. But Xiao Xian noticed it. Regarding Mr. Chen's words, Tomuching and the others nodded one after another, obviously very much approving of them. Let's go. It's too hot outside, go inside, and rest. Tomb Spirit Master said directly, perhaps, you can see some unusual things inside. These words once again aroused the curiosity of Xiao Xian and others. Something unusual? Could it be that it is the legendary green flame staff? Thinking of this, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling couldn't help but look at each other, with joy on their faces. Don't think too much about it. This old guy likes to do these fancy things, saying they are unusual. In the end, they might just be a piece of junk that no one wants. He has done this kind of thing a lot before. Mr. Chen looked indifferent and didn't care at all. After saying this, Master Tomb Spirit's face showed another wave of embarrassment, but then he still said, don't talk nonsense. The things I brought out this time must be related to the purpose of your coming. The purpose of our coming, Mr. Chen's eyes lit up, do you know the purpose of our coming? The green flame staff has just been born. Today's flame cemetery has people from all 3 religions and 9 schools. Even several sects from Zhongzhou have come. Needless to say, anyone can know that you are here at the flame cemetery just for this blue flame staff. What? Tomb Spirit Master said with a smile. Hearing these words, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling were also secretly surprised. They knew that the birth of the green flame staff this time would definitely attract the attention of many powerful sects in Nanzan Haizhu, but they did not expect that even Zhongzhou would have such a big reaction. Are all the sects in Zhongzhou here? Mr. Chen was also a little more curious. Not only. You may also meet some old friends. The Tomb Spirit Master said with a smile, how is it? Are you looking forward to it? That's the one. Who would have known that after hearing these words, the smile on Mr. Chen's face instantly froze. He obviously did not expect that the Tomb Spirit Master would say this. How could such a thing happen? Mr. Chen murmured to himself, could it be that, it's really her? Yes, this is also my joke. The Tianli sect attaches great importance to the green flame staff this time. In addition to her, they also sent 2 strong dragon god realm experts. So, if you really care about the green flame staff, if you are interested, you should be even more careful, Master Tomb Spirit said. Humph, there are some things that are really hard to explain. Mr. Chen couldn't help but shake his head. Let's take a step and see. It can only be the... However, according to my investigation, there will be a fluctuation in the power of the Tomb Spirit in the Flame Cemetery recently. The Tomb Spirit Master said, the last time the Tomb Spirit's power fluctuated, it was also the time when the Blue Flame Staff was born. Say it. Xiao Xian and Bai Ling next to them were also shocked. It seems that the arrival of the Flame Cemetery this time is really worth it. 2 holy weapons will be born. If this is true, it is enough to prove that there is indeed something extraordinary in the Flame Cemetery. Figure this out. Their faces also looked more solemn. It seems that we still have to spend some effort to study the Flame Cemetery, Mr. Chen couldn't help but said. This is also one of Xiao Xian's life experiences. Without knowing who the other party is, it is definitely not a good choice to tell everything about one's own situation. But, more importantly, under the leadership of Tum Ching. Look at the appearance of some of them, they don't seem to be from Zhongzhou. Mr. Chen and the real person Tum Ling were chatting happily, and Tum Ching took the initiative to talk to Xiao Xian and asked. Yes. Excuse me, please. Yes, we are from the eastern part of Nanzan Haizhu. Xiao Xian didn't have any bad feelings towards Tum Ching. He knew that the reason why Tum Ching was so rude before was just to protect the real person Tum's spirit. Mr. Chen couldn't help but glared at Xiao Xian. Try your luck. On the contrary, he was really curious. If you have the energy, why not learn more about the tomb spirit fluctuations in the flame cemetery this time? Is it possible that I came here this time also for the blue flame staff? Tum Ching seemed a little confused. Since there are many strong men coming to the flame cemetery this time, it may not be that simple to get the green flame staff. Regarding this attitude, Xiao Xian also touched the back of his head in embarrassment, and at the same time, he felt a little bit in his heart. He really wanted to see how strong this number one sect in Zhongzhou was. With a bit of curiosity on his face, Xiao Xian said directly, looking at Mr. Chen's appearance, it seems that he has a deep connection with this person. In the center of the hall, there was only a black, translucent ice cube the size of a palm. But a bone-chilling cold air was constantly emitting from the ice. This time in the flame cemetery, Mr. Chen may encounter an unusual person, and this person may very well be the target of the scandal. Under such cold weather. Here, they finally saw the legendary Xian Bing. Only speak 3 words when meeting people. Tum Ching politely asked his servants to bring fruits and snacks, and asked Xiao Xian and Bai Ling to sit down. What's going on with the injuries on the tomb spirit master? According to various previous rumors, the strength of the sects in Zhongzhou must be far stronger than that in the outside areas, but now, the strongest sect in Zhongzhou is about to appear, and Xiao Xian still feels a little bit in his heart. He can feel it. Xiao Xian and the other 3 also entered the tomb spirit sect. Thank you. Xiao Xian nodded. This time, there are still people from the Tianli sect in the flame cemetery. This is definitely not good news. But, I don't know who the tomb sect leader is talking about is. The problems in the entire hall were forcibly reduced, which also made Xiao Xian and the others feel comfortable. Cough cough cough. Xiao Xian, don't ask random questions. Xiao Xian said, so, I just came to see the world. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1205. I dare to ask Brother Tum Ching, what happened to the injuries on the body of Master Tum Ling? Xiao Xian changed the topic. Master Tum's spirit has been poisoned by a poison called Bibing Xianzhen. Tum Ching sighed and said, now I need to swallow the souls of 7th grade monsters every day to suppress the cold poison in my body. Even in the flame cemetery, not many doctors can see anything. I heard the words Bibing Xuanzhen. Xiao Xian was suddenly startled, and his face became a little more suspicious. He seemed to have heard of these 4 words in the 10,000 gold prescription. Back then, in the Eastern Barren continent, after he received the inheritance from old man Tianyan, the 10,000 gold prescription also helped him greatly. He didn't expect that Wanjin pharmacy could be of such great help to him in the flame cemetery. This really made him a little unbelievable. Is there no doctor who can tell anything in the flame cemetery? Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask. Don't talk about ordinary doctors, even though some Zhongzhou doctors have been invited, no one can solve it. Tum Ching sighed, I don't know how that bitch Tum Sheng got such a poison. Things. Northern Ice mysterious needle. I've heard a lot about it. Perhaps, I can help the tomb sect master with his treatment. Xiao Xian said. After saying this, Tum Ching next to him felt a little strange on his face. He looked at him as if he were a fool. In fact, Tum Ching doesn't have much prejudice against Xiao Xian. However, there is a slight doubt about his strength. How can a person at the pinnacle of the Blue God realm with such strength participate in the competition for sacred weapons in the Flame Cemetery? Isn't this just a joke? But because Xiao Xian was brought by Mr. Chen, he still understood very well that some things should not be said too obviously, so he was relatively polite. But it's different now. Xiao Xian actually has the courage to say such things so brazenly. Help the tomb spirit heal? What qualifications does he have? Could it be that just because he was brought in by Mr. Chen? Think of these words. Tomb Ching couldn't help but said, "Brother Xiao Xian, could it be said that you are also a doctor? I once got a prescription. Perhaps, this prescription can cure Tomb Spirit Master." Xiao Xian said, "I don't know, do you have this opportunity?" This. Tomb Ching was a little hesitant. Normally, he would have refused directly, but this Xiao Xian was brought by Mr. Chen, so he couldn't refuse directly. It doesn't matter. You can imagine it well. After all, other people can't be treated well. Maybe I can treat it well, right? Xiao Xian can also understand. After all, he is just an ordinary person at the peak of the Blue God realm. If he wants to treat a powerful person in the Dragon God realm, isn't this a fantasy? I'm afraid that no one at the peak of the Blue God realm would be allowed to behave like this in any sect. For this point, Xiao Xian just laughed and said, "Maybe, if you try more, you will have a chance, right? Don't think that young Master Xiao Xian is just an ordinary person at the peak of the Kang God realm, he is very powerful," Bai Ling said from the side. Maybe so. However, I still have to report something, please wait a moment. Tomb Ching was also helpless. Since the words had come to this, he couldn't refuse directly and could only leave with excuses. At this time, Mr. Chen and Master Tomb Spirit are in a hall. When Mr. Chen released a majestic and powerful power of the avenue, he fought against the cold air in the body of the Tomb Spirit Master. From the beads of sweat on his forehead, it could be seen that he was not so relaxed. "Come out!" Mr. Chen roared angrily, and the power of the avenue burst out again, suppressing the body of Master Tomb Spirit. He actually planned to use such power to force out the cold air from the body of Master Tomb Spirit. But sadly, although the power of the avenue in Mr. Chen's body was majestic, when it encountered the cold poison, all of it was swallowed up. This really surprised him. "I didn't expect that. This Northern Ice mysterious needle is actually so powerful." Faced with such a terrifying cold poison, Mr. Chen had no choice but to sigh and said, "It seems that I can't help anymore." "Ha ha ha. I just said that the skills you practice have long been outdated. Do you really think you are some kind of miracle doctor?" Compared to Mr. Chen's helplessness. On the contrary, the real Tomb Spirit behaved very calmly, as if he had already guessed that there would be such a result. However, a trace of loss still flashed through his eyes. Obviously, he still hates the cold poison in his body. "Master," at this time, Tomb Ching walked in. "What's wrong?" Master Tomb Spirit said, "Didn't you see that Mr. Chen and I are talking? Is there anything important?" "It's nothing important," Tomb Ching said carefully, "it's just that Mr. Chen's disciple Xiao Xian said that he can treat your Northern Ice mysterious needle." "Ha ha ha. Old Chintu, this disciple of yours is really interesting. He actually said that he can cure my cold poison? If that's true, then he's really better than his predecessor, isn't he?" The Tomb Spirit Master smiled, not taking these words to heart at all, and said to Mr. Chen, "If I read it correctly, he is at the peak of the Blue God realm, right? How can he say such a thing?" "Yes. Aren't you a little too arrogant?" "I think I can give it a try." Regarding the words of the Tomb Spirit Master, Mr. Chen just shook his head. "What's the meaning? Is it possible that you really think that your apprentice can cure my cold poison?" Tomb Spirit Master looked at Mr. Chen in disbelief, Are you feeling dizzy? Tum Ching also nodded. In his opinion, Xiao Xian was only at the peak of the Kengshen realm, and he didn't have much ability at all. If he really stood up in front of him, he might not even be able to beat him. Even if he has some cultivation talent, I'm afraid it will still take a long time to practice. As for being able to treat the Tomb Spirit Master now, this is a complete fantasy. At that moment, Tum Ching also bowed his hands and prepared to leave. Wait a minute. Since many doctors can't cure you in the Flame Cemetery, why can't you try to let me, your apprentice, treat you? Mr. Chen smiled and said, maybe he can bring you a miracle. Say it. Tomb Spirit Master and Tum Ching also looked at Mr. Chen with doubts in their eyes, somewhat incomprehensible. After all, this does sound a bit weird. Can a person at the pinnacle of the Blue God realm heal a strong person in the Dragon God realm? You know, just now, even Mr. Chen couldn't cure the cold poison of Master Tomb Spirit. How could Xiao Xian be able to cure it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1206. This Xiao Xian can be considered to have some talent. Mr. Chen said seriously to the Tomb Spirit Master, speaking of it, sometimes even I am amazed by his talent. Maybe he really has the ability to cure you. Oh? He's not your disciple? Master Tomb Spirit was a little surprised. Yes, I originally wanted to accept a disciple, but his master should be stronger than me, so he refused, old Chen said. That's interesting. Master Tomb Spirit laughed. I didn't expect that an old guy like you would be looked down upon by others one day. No need to say more, let him treat you. Mr. Chen shook his head. How about this? We can make a bet. If he treats me well, you are not allowed to take the initiative to find that woman this time. If he cannot treat me well, I will never interfere with anything between you and that woman this time. Tomb Spirit Master said, how about it? Do you dare to make this bet with me? Hearing this, Mr. Chen showed some emotion on his face, but then he sighed, after all these years, do you think I am still as impulsive as when I was young? Humph! Master Tomb Spirit snorted coldly, obviously full of distrust. That's all, then I'll make a bet with you. As if sensing the meaning of the Tomb Spirit Master, Mr. Chen said directly, however, if Xiao Xian can cure your cold poison, this time you have to help us fight for the Qing Dynasty Flame Staff. How about it? Okay, it's settled. The Grave Spirit Master nodded happily. Looking at him like this, he didn't seem to care whether Xiao Xian could cure his cold poison, but rather wanted to see that Mr. Chen and Menji Sword Immortal had nothing to do with each other. For this, Mr. Chen smiled instead. That's cool, but I think Xiao Xian might really be able to cure your cold poison this time. When he said this, Master Tomb Spirit became interested. He still has a basic understanding of Mr. Chen, and knows that the latter is definitely not a person who talks nonsense. Today, having said that, maybe Xiao Xian can really create a miracle? After thinking about this, Tomb Spirit Master's face became a little more curious. In that case, why don't you tell me, what is the origin of the Xiao Xian? It is said that he is a disciple from the Eastern Wasteland giant continent. He is very talented and has a strong soul. Old Chen shook his head. I met him in the White Flame Valley. He was the one who treated the injuries that the old man Bai Yan suffered. Eastern Wasteland giant continent. Heard about this place? Master Tomb Spirit and Master Tomb Ching looked at each other with doubts and surprise on their faces. Everyone in the entire Daodao continent knows it. The Eastern Wilderness continent is the weakest among the 4 continents of the Great Dao continent. It is said that a strong man in the Golden God realm can dominate this continent. Although it is undeniable that there may be very talented practitioners in the Eastern Wasteland, it is certain that without good inheritance of skills, most practitioners will not achieve anything. Therefore, they did not have much expectations for Xiaoxian. Remember your bet. Master Tomb Spirit waved his hand and said to Tomb Qing, go find that Xiaoxian. Yes, Tomb Qing nodded and left. Not long after, Tomb Qing brought Xiaoxian to the real person Tomb Spirit. I heard from old man Chen that you are very talented, so I have to work hard for you today. Although the eyes of Master Tomb Spirit were full of doubts, his words were still polite. Thank you very much, Master Tomb. Xiaoxian cupped his hands. I heard that what Master Tomb received was the Northern Ice Mysterious Needle. Not bad. Master Tomb Spirit nodded. Can I check my meridians? Xiaoxian asked. If you are a doctor, of course you can. Master Tomb Spirit nodded and reached out his hand. Xiaoxian didn't say much. Now, what did Xiaoxian say? That he was only poisoned by wind and cold? How can this be? As long as I swallow the spirit of a 7th grade or above monster beast every day, this poison won't kill me. Not bad. Xiaoxian nodded firmly. Fine. You mean, my body's resistance to the poison of wind and cold has been weakened? Master Tomb Spirit roughly understood, but he was a little doubtful in his heart. Some Tomb Spirit sect disciples started talking and expressed their distrust of Xiaoxian. Just now, if Master Tomb Spirit hadn't actively restrained his defense mechanism, a soft silver needle wouldn't have been able to pierce his finger, let alone make him bleed. Even if he could rely on collecting essence to temporarily save his life, it would definitely have an impact on his strength. In fact, even Tomb Spirit Master and Tomb Qing were a little skeptical. Xiaoxian, what exactly are you talking about? However, Mr. Chen could roughly understand that there was probably a follow-up to what Xiaoxian said. This Northern Ice Mysterious Needle is so poisonous. This. At that time, if Tomb Shen unites with Mu Tianlong, it will definitely be a huge crisis for them. However, the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect present still frowned and their hearts were filled with worry. What? If things continue like this, I am afraid that the strength of the Tomb Spirit Master will be greatly reduced in the future. Old Tombstone, this. Mr. Chen couldn't help but say, this Northern Ice Mysterious Needle, is it so terrifying? Tomb Spirit Master said in a relaxed tone. A drop of blood as black as ink appeared. Don't worry, this cold poison is not irreversible. Xiaoxian also frowned, but said, actually, the cold poison in this North Ice Mysterious Needle is just an ordinary wind cold poison. If you find a suitable, the solution may not be easy to solve. If you say that, I'm a little bit sure. Master Tomb Spirit shook his head. It seems that you are indeed a quack. First, he took out a silver needle from the space magic weapon and gently pierced the finger of the Tomb Spirit Master. At the same time, the originally white silver needle instantly turned completely black. They naturally knew that Master Tomb Spirit said this just to comfort them. How could it be possible that there was no harm done to the real Tomb Spirit? Isn't this a joke? Xiaoxian said, the Northern Ice Mysterious Needle destroys the body's resistance to cold poison. If this is destroyed, even if a person encounters a slight wind cold in the future, he will be infected with the wind cold poison. This is the real power of the Northern Ice Mysterious Needle. The strong men in the Dragon God realm have extremely strong physiques. Can ordinary wind cold poison pose such a big threat to the sect master? However, although this poison is weak, it exists extremely widely. It can be said that it is everywhere in the world. Apart from anything else, with his physical fitness at the Dragon God realm, ordinary wind and cold poison would not be able to even get close to him, let alone invade his body. The poison of wind and cold is indeed weak. Thinking of this, many disciples also became worried. This time, many people were surprised, even Mr. Chen frowned. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1207. Quack. Quack. Tomb Spirit Master said these words. For a moment, the faces of everyone in the Tomb Spirit sect changed color, and then they all looked at Xiaoxian with strange eyes. In fact, even if Master Tomb Spirit didn't say it, they had never believed in Xiaoxian. When Master Tomb Spirit said this, they naturally showed impatient expressions. Xiaoxian is at the pinnacle of the Blue God realm. Not to mention that he can really cure the illness of the Tomb Spirit Master. Even if he can see something, it is a mockery of the Tomb Spirit sect. After all, among the Tomb Spirit sect, let alone those at the peak of the Blue God realm, even those at the Golden God realm are unknown, but even with so many people, no one can see the illness of the Tomb Spirit Master. If Xiaoxian sees it now, doesn't it mean that so many people in the Tomb Spirit sect are useless trash? Young Master Xiaoxian, look at it. The food will be ready soon. Why not now? Tomb Qing didn't embarrass Xiaoxian that much and found a reason to say, go and prepare for dinner. I wonder why the Tomb sect leader said that I am a quack. Xiaoxian was reluctant and said, do you think what I said is wrong? Good. After all, I am a strong man in the Dragon God realm. How can I not be able to resist the cold poison of wind cold? And you just said that the cold poison in my body is just wind cold. Isn't this funny? The grave spirit master shook his head, his face full of disdain. At the same time, the faces of everyone in the Tomb Spirit sect were full of doubts. After all, in the Tomb Spirit sect, the Tomb Spirit Master was the absolute authority. Even he is so sure now. The disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect were naturally willing to believe it. What's more, Xiaoxian is at the pinnacle of the Blue God realm. Under such a realm, what he says is naturally not competitive. After thinking about this, a group of Tomb Spirit sect disciples naturally began to question Xiaoxian. Brother, there are some things you should not be too optimistic about. You don't look like you're a doctor, right? It's not something you should know, so don't say more. Ha ha ha. It's understandable that young people want to perform, but it also depends on the timing, right? Some Tomb Spirit sect disciples were talking about it. Hearing these words, Mr. Chen and Bai Ling couldn't help but frown slightly. They knew Xiaoxian's ability, but now they didn't know how to explain it. If the Tomb Master doesn't believe it, we can do an experiment. Xiaoxian was still full of confidence. What experiment? Master Tomb Spirit was a little disdainful. It's very simple. You only need 2 wind-cold elixirs to prove whether the toxins in your body, Master Tomb, are wind-cold poison. Xiaoxian said, I wonder if there is such a wind-cold medicine in your sect. Cold medicine. Are you saying that one Dao stone can buy a lot of cold medicine? After hearing Xiaoxian's words, several Tomb Spirit sect disciples laughed even more, not believing his words at all. Mr. Chen was also a little worried. He wanted to believe that Xiaoxian was not someone who just spoke freely, but judging from the current situation, Xiaoxian's words were indeed a bit unbelievable. Xiaoxian, are you sure? Bai Ling couldn't help but ask, this is not a small matter, what if you... Don't worry, Xiaoxian was confident. Okay, since Mr. Xiaoxian is so confident, you go and get some wind-cold elixirs. Tomb Qing also looked indifferent, seeming to have concluded that Xiaoxian's treatment would not have any good results. Yes. Yes. The 2 Tomb Spirit sect disciples also nodded quickly and left in a hurry. Not long after, several wind-cold elixirs were put in a jade bottle and delivered. Master Xiaoxian. How should I use this elixir? The Tomb Spirit Master looked at Xiaoxian with interest. Is it possible that he swallowed it directly? Exactly. Originally, the Tomb Spirit Master thought that. What tricks could Xiaoxian come up with for this elixir? Who knew it would just be a simple swallow? Isn't this a bit outrageous? You know, the Tomb Spirit Master has spent a lot of energy in treating the cold poison in his body over the years, and even the precious 7th grade monster essence has been devoured. Who knew that Xiao Xian now said that wind-cold elixir could treat it? Where does this leave the doctors who have treated the tomb spirit master in the past? Isn't this just embarrassing? Xiao Xian, please don't talk nonsense. Tomb Qing couldn't help it. Do you know that this is an ordinary wind-cold elixir? Could it be said that this ordinary wind-cold elixir can treat our sect leader's disease, cold poison? Good. Everything is possible. If you don't try it, how will you know it doesn't work? Xiao Xian shook his head and chuckled. After saying this, the tomb spirit sect disciples next to him sneered again, and even more sarcastic towards Xiao Xian. After all, such a thing is indeed a bit too ridiculous. For ordinary doctors, when treating, they are all confident and think that they can treat patients well. But now this Xiao Xian is very strange. During treatment, you actually said try more? Isn't this ridiculous? That's fine. Since Mr. Xiao Xian can say this, he is very confident, so I will believe him just once. Instead, Master Tomb Spirit smiled and said, if you can really cure me, you will be a great contributor to not only me, but also the entire Tomb Spirit sect, so why not give it a try? After saying that, Master Tomb Spirit swallowed the elixir in one gulp. After a while, Tomb Spirit Master's expression remained as usual, as if nothing had happened. At this moment, everyone in the Tomb Spirit sect naturally had contempt on their faces, and they all looked at him questioningly. Mr. Chen and Bai Ling couldn't sit still. Although they were willing to trust Xiao Xian, the situation in front of them had to make them a little suspicious. Xiao Xian, what on earth is going on? It seems like there's no reaction at all. Bai Ling walked carefully to Xiao Xian and lowered his voice and said, it seems that Mr. Chen has a good relationship with this tomb spirit master. Otherwise, if you take the initiative to admit your mistake, tomb spirit master will not blame you. Mr. Chen also nodded to Xiao Xian, indicating that he agreed with Bai Ling's statement. Although Xiao Xian heard what these two people said, he had no intention of accepting it directly. After all, for him, taking the initiative to admit his mistake, doesn't it prove that his behavior just now is that of a clown? After all, he still has $1 million prescription in his body, and he is confident enough to cure the cold poison in the tomb spirit master. Mr. Xiao Xian, it's getting late. Why don't let's have a meal. Tomb Qing smiled at Xiao Xian and said, I think Mr. Xiao Xian's courage to dare to treat is commendable, but it seems that it is still a bit difficult to treat. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1208. It seems. This simple wind-cold elixir has no effect on my cold poison, right? The grave spirit master also shook his head and said disappointedly. After saying this, the people of the tomb spirit sect also started talking, expressing their disappointment in Xiao Xian. Seeing this, Mr. Chen also said, Xiao Xian, being a doctor is indeed more difficult than imagined. It's better not to force some things. Bai Ling also nodded. Seeing the looks of Mr. Chen and Bai Ling, Xiao Xian also roughly understood that it seemed that these two people did not trust him very much. To this, he can understand it. After all, for them, although Xiao Xian was somewhat talented, he was not extremely talented. At least with the strength of a person at the peak of the Blue God realm, it is somewhat unbelievable to want to help a strong man in the Dragon God realm cure his illness. In addition, the tomb spirit master really said that he didn't feel anything. Therefore, they have some doubts about him, which even Xiao Xian himself can understand. Don't worry. I never do anything I'm not sure about. Regarding their worries, Xiao Xian acted relatively calmly and said directly, if it doesn't work now, then it may take a while. Say it. Naturally, it aroused the surprise of the tomb spirit sect disciples. After all, what Xiao Xian said was a bit too outrageous. For ordinary doctors, good treatment means good treatment, and bad treatment means poor treatment. How can there be someone like Xiaoxian? Still have to wait a while? What does it mean? Is it possible that Xiaoxian still needs to wait for a while for treatment? Isn't this a bit outrageous? Ahem. Xiaoxian, actually I have a good relationship with the Tomb Spirit Master. He just talks about it, so you don't have to pay attention. Mr. Chen was also a little embarrassed and couldn't help but said, he is just talking. He will not have any prejudice against you because of this matter. I guarantee that he will not fail to help us in the Flame Cemetery. Say it. Bai Ling also looked at Xiaoxian. She also knew that Mr. Chen would not make promises to others casually. Today, he said something like this, but it also showed some problems. At least he really had no confidence in Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian. Wait a moment. Just as Bai Ling was about to speak, Xiaoxian took over the conversation and said, I can use Tao power to stimulate it. After saying that, Xiaoxian also directly urged the power of the Great Avenue into the body of the Tomb Spirit Master. This time, even the Tomb Spirit Master was a little surprised. You know, he is a serious dragon god realm powerhouse, and the power of the Dao in his body is so strong. Xiaoxian's little power of the Dao can be said to be neither painful nor itchy on him, and has no effect at all. But looking at Xiaoxian's appearance now, he seems to be very confident in himself. They couldn't believe it. However, just when Master Tomb Spirit opened his mouth to say something, he suddenly found that the cold poison in his body gradually dissipated. This surprised him. You know, based on previous experience, the cold poison in his body will only dissipate after he swallows the soul of a 7th grade monster. Who knew that now, it would dissipate on its own initiative? Could it be said that this is really the effect of the wind cold elixir? Or is it the effect of the Tao power that Xiaoxian injected into his body just now? For a moment, Master Tomb Spirit was a little confused. What is going on? Master Tomb Spirit couldn't help but ask. This time in the Flame Cemetery, it would be a good thing if they could have help from the Tomb Spirit Master. For a moment, everyone's eyes were once again focused on Xiaoxian. It's unbelievable. How is this possible? Could it be that this wind-cold elixir really works? Impossible, right? Bai Ling was stunned and nodded quickly. Speaking of which, when you were in White Flame Valley, your performance surprised many people. It's a very simple thing. The wind-cold elixir can suppress the cold poison in you, Tomb Sect Master. However, this can only temporarily control the cold poison and cannot completely cure it, Xiaoxian said. Although they were willing to believe Xiaoxian, they were still surprised when the Tomb Spirit really had an effect on him. Why not? Wasn't it me who treated your master Bai Yan before? Xiaoxian smiled. But if you want to completely cure some things, I'm afraid it's not that simple, right? Besides, if he can suppress it temporarily, there might be a cure, right? Yeah. It's indeed a bit unbelievable. Could it be that the 7th grade monster essence that the sect master ate yesterday had an effect? If you didn't tell me, I would have almost forgotten. Incredible. After all, for them, what they can feel is that Xiaoxian acted like an ordinary Peak Kang Shen realm before, but now, can he really cure the cold poison on the body of the real Tomb Spirit? If Xiaoxian really has any means that can help Master Tomb Spirit cure the cold poison in his body, this is definitely a very beneficial thing. It depends on whether Xiaoxian has this means. Hearing this, Mr. Chen and Bai Ling also looked at each other, with a bit more solemnity on their faces. Xiaoxian, I didn't expect you to actually be able to heal diseases. Bai Ling was the first to ask in surprise, I've never seen you heal anyone before. Regarding Xiaoxian, Master Tomb Spirit shook his head and said. But now, the state of the real Tomb Spirit is not at its best, which is also a hidden danger for them. There is no doubt that Some people also had shock on their faces. Although it was only temporarily suppressed, it was shocking enough. In the future, there may be a chance to truly win the green flame staff. Having said that, some Tomb Spirit sect disciples couldn't believe it. After all, ordinary people would never have the ability to help Master Dao Tomb Ling with treatment. Say it. This, I was blind before. Master Tomb Spirit sighed seriously and said, I didn't expect that little friend Xiao Xian actually has this ability. Everyone's faces changed. Instead of the mockery and teasing before, they were full of expectation. Some people from the Tomb Spirit sect started talking. Sect Master? Has the cold poison in your body really dissipated? Such a thing is indeed a bit unbelievable. Xiao Xian can really cure the sect leader's disease. On the other hand, Mr. Chen and Bai Ling had surprised expressions on their faces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1209. Master Xiao Xian. Since you can find a way to suppress the cold poison, is there a way to completely cure the cold poison in Master? Tomb Ching couldn't help but step forward and asked eagerly. Not only Tomb Green, but the entire Tomb Spirit sect has placed their hope on Xiao Xian at this moment. After all, it's been so long. In order to treat the Tomb Spirit Master, they searched for countless doctors from all over the world, but no one could tell the reason. In the end, he could only rely on the spirit of the 7th grade monster beast to barely maintain his body's resistance to the cold poison. However, on the one hand, this method consumes a lot of sect resources. On the other hand, it cannot cure the cold poison in the body of the real Tomb Spirit. Therefore, the Tomb Spirit sect has always attached great importance to this. Now, finally, a person like Xiao Xian is here. The Tomb Spirit sect disciples were naturally extremely excited. Xiao Xian, can you completely cure the Tomb Spirit Master? Mr. Chen was also interested and couldn't help but ask. It can be treated. Only. Xiao Xian hesitated halfway through. This treatment requires a lot of energy. It may take me a while to recover. Say it. Not only the Tomb Spirit Master and others, but also Mr. Chen and Bai Ling were a little confused and looked at Xiao Xian in confusion. After all, Xiao Xian had just arrived in the Flame Cemetery. It seemed that apart from saying a few words, he didn't expend any energy, right? Why do you need to recharge? This is fine. If little friend Xiao Xian needs anything else, just tell Tom Ching directly. Tomb Spirit Master also had a little embarrassment on his face. Before, I was too blind to recognize Taishan. I hope you don't hold grudges. He said this. Everyone present couldn't help but be a little shocked. You know, the Tomb Spirit Master is also a well-known figure in the Flame Cemetery, and he is also a real strong man in the Dragon God realm. Such a person actually took the initiative to say such things to Xiao Xian. This is definitely a great respect. What's more important is that now Xiao Xian has been recognized by the Tomb Spirit Master. In the future, no one will dare to do anything to Xiao Xian in the Flame Cemetery. Master Tomb, you're welcome. This kid is just trying his luck. He doesn't dare to say what an amazing doctor he is. Xiao Xian didn't take what the Tomb Spirit Master said just now to heart. After saying this, everyone in the Tomb Spirit sect felt a lot more at ease, and their impression of Xiao Xian also became better. While talking, a Tomb Spirit sect disciple covered in blood, with tattered clothes and armor, stumbled in, and then fell to his knees on the ground. Tomb City. What's wrong with you? Why is this happening? After seeing this person, Tomb Green's eyes were cracked, and he rushed forward, reaching out to use the power of the avenue to protect this disciple's heart. Tomushin led the strong men of Zhongzhou to capture the Casa cemetery. Our disciples were defeated. After the disciple finished speaking, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and then lost his life. It's tomb raising again. This bastard actually colluded with people from Zhongzhou. Tum Ching gritted his teeth and realized that the disciple on the ground could no longer be saved, so he had no choice but to let him go. Upon hearing the news, Xiaoxian and others also looked at each other and did not express any opinions. After all, Tum Sheng could be considered a member of his own sect and the biological son of Master Tum Spirit. Even Master Tum Spirit himself had no intention of taking action. If they said anything more, it would feel like they were nosy. For a while, everyone's eyes were on the Tum Spirit Master, and they all wanted to see how he would handle this matter. This matter can be resolved after I am relieved of the cold poison, Master Tum Ling said. Tum Ching goes to prepare a place for the guests to stay. Yes. Tum Ching obviously wanted to say something. However, in the end, he seemed to realize something and just kept his mouth shut and said no more. Wait until everyone from Tum Spirit sect leaves. Tum Spirit Master also sighed and said to Mr. Chen, Old Mr. Chen, what do you think, how should we deal with this matter? How? Looking at you, it seems like you still have high expectations for that ineffectual son. Mr. Chen shook his head and said, do you know that such a person is not worth looking forward to at all? Speaking of which, Xiaoxian and others also looked at each other. Xiaoxian and Bai Ling also knew that they shouldn't give any advice on these matters, but since Tum Spirit has asked, it seems that they should still say something. Xiaoxian, Bai Ling, what do you think? At this time, Master Tum Spirit asked instead, if you face such a person, how should you deal with it? Ask this question. Xiaoxian and Bai Ling were also stunned. They couldn't believe it. Faced with the situation in front of them, the Tum Spirit Master could actually say such a thing? Isn't this a little too weird? After all, they were young and not even married, yet they were asked such questions by the Tum Spirit Master? Well, maybe we really don't have any ideas, Xiaoxian said, a little embarrassed. 2. Perhaps, such a thing is relatively far away from you. After thinking about it for a while, Master Tum Spirit shook his head helplessly and said, however, there are some things that I really want to ask you. If you face the Tomb Ascension of the Golden God realm in the future, do you have a chance of winning? Say it. Xiaoxian roughly guessed something. Listening to what Master Tum Spirit means, is it possible that he is planning to let him deal with Tum Sheng? Isn't this a bit strange? What's more, a strong man at the level of the Golden God. How could he be so virtuous that he could defeat him? Thinking of this, Xiaoxian couldn't help but have a little doubt in his eyes. Master Tum, do you mean to let me deal with this Tum Sheng? Good. At a young age, Tum Sheng has already reached the Golden God realm. This speed of cultivation is even faster than what I did back then. It is precisely because of this that he always keeps his eyes high. If you can use some means to defeat him, maybe he will surrender again. The Tum Spirit Master said. After saying this, Xiaoxian looked strange and couldn't believe it. Surrender? Can it be so easy to make a strong man in the Golden God realm surrender? Isn't this Tum Soul Master joking? According to him, this Tum Sheng can be regarded as a young talent from the Flame Cemetery. How come we are now? Instead, he needs to take action? Could it be said that in the heart of Master Tum Spirit, he has the strength to defeat a strong man in the Golden God realm? Isn't this a bit too flattering to him? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1210. Master Tum, are you a little too optimistic about me? Xiaoxian said with some helplessness, although, I got a medical book by chance and luckily saw your illness. As for, fighting against the Golden God realm strong man, This is not an easy task. Having said that, but I trust you, Tomb Spirit Master said with a smile. After saying this, Xiao Xian was a little confused. In any case, this Tomb Spirit Master was considered a very powerful leader of a section. How could he say such a thing? Is it possible that you really think that he, who is at the pinnacle of the Blue God realm, can fight against a strong person in the Golden God realm? Isn't this a joke? Besides, the Tomb Spirit sect is so big and has so many talented practitioners, can't it be impossible to find a strong person in the Golden God realm? Let this powerful man in the Golden God realm deal with his son. What's more, Xiao Xian now has a little Golden God-like Bailing beside him. Even if the real Tomb Spirit wants to find him, he should look for such a person, right? I don't know where the confidence of the Tomb Sect Master comes from. Xiao Xian couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seems that I haven't shown my strength yet. Ha ha ha. I not only have confidence in you, but also in Old Man Chen. Tomb Spirit Master seemed to have expected it, and said with a smile, you don't need to think about it to know that Old Man Chen, a guy with high eyesight, will not let anyone follow him casually. Say it. Even Xiao Xian couldn't help but smile. I have to say that the old sect leader, Master Tomb Spirit, is really interesting. Sometimes just a few words can make people feel good. Just these words just now, all of a sudden, Xiao Xian and the three of them were praised. Old Tombstone, don't say these words. Do you think I am still the same as before? Do you really think that just a few words can make me listen to you? Mr. Chen seemed to understand everything and said with a smile, if you don't show some sincerity, do you think you want Mr. Xiao Xian to work for you for free? Hear this. Xiao Xian also felt enlightened for a moment. Yes, what's the point of just hearing these useless compliments? The most important thing is, shouldn't it be the benefits? As the master of the Tomb Spirit sect, Master Tomb Spirit should have gotten a lot of good things in the Flame Cemetery over the years. If you can get some treasures from him, they will be of the highest quality, right? Figure this out. Xiao Xian also looked at the Tomb Spirit Master with interest. I want to see how sincere he is. Sure enough, under such a gaze, Master Tomb Spirit seemed a little embarrassed, and could only say helplessly, that's all. As long as you can deal with Tomb Shen, I can tell you the latest news about the Green Flame Staff. Blue Flame Staff. Hear these three words. Xiao Xian and others were suddenly surprised. You know, since the news of the Green Flame Staff spread, there have been not only 10,000 but also 8,000 people who came to the Flame Cemetery to look for the Green Flame Staff. However, even though there are so many people looking for it, there are not many people who really know the news about the Green Flame Staff. Who knows now? This Tomb Spirit Master actually knows the news about the Green Flame Staff. This is a bit shocking, right? You know, things like the Green Flame Staff are said to be left behind by the legendary ancient saints. Not only is it extremely precious, but it is also extremely powerful. For ordinary people, if they can get such a treasure, they will definitely get an unusual adventure in the end. But now, the Tomb Spirit sect has actually mastered the news of the Green Flame Staff. This is a bit interesting. According to normal logic, since there is such news, there is no reason for the Tomb Spirit sect not to find a way to seize the Green Flame Staff. Why should this kind of news be revealed? Aren't you worried that others will take away the Green Flame Staff in advance with this news? That's pretty much it. It seems that you still remember what I said to you before. Mr. Chen smiled and seemed very satisfied with this reaction. In response to this, Master Tomb Spirit just waved his hand, shook his head and said, perhaps, to others, this Green Flame Staff is such a great thing, but to us, the Tomb Spirit sect, it is indeed not attractive. That's true. What your Tomb Spirit sect practices are all divine soul arts. There is really no need for a fire element holy weapon like the Green Flame Staff. Mr. Chen nodded. After hearing these words, Xiaoxian and Bai Ling looked at each other with a little surprise on their faces. Ancient artifact. This is a treasure that many practitioners dream of. In the opinion of the Tomb Spirit Master, it doesn't help them much. So, what kind of things would the Tomb Spirit sect be interested in? For a time, Xiaoxian and others also started talking. Correct. Xiaoxian is also a spiritual cultivator. If you have time, you can give me some advice. Mr. Chen took the initiative and said. Hearing this, Master Tomb Spirit was also quite surprised. He could feel that there was indeed something unusual about Xiaoxian, and the power of the soul was indeed very powerful, but Master Tomb Spirit did not expect that Xiaoxian was really a soul cultivator. God-level soul. Master Tomb Spirit took a serious look at Xiaoxian, and then said with surprise, you can cultivate a soul to the divine realm in the Kang God realm. You are indeed very talented. It's just a fluke, not worth mentioning, Xiaoxian also said modestly. No, no. Being able to cultivate your soul to this level in this realm also shows that you are indeed very talented. Tomb Spirit Master looked at Xiaoxian with interest. Moreover, it's not just your talent, you should also have many adventures. No wonder old man Chen has taken a liking to you, you are indeed a young talent. Don't dare to take it seriously. It's just that I got some benefits by chance. Xiaoxian arched his hands. For him, those so-called adventures and so-called secret realms are nothing more than a means for him to improve his strength. Perhaps these adventures were of great help to him at that time. But he must not stop and be complacent because of this little thing, otherwise it will be a waste of his talent. Haha. Seeing that you are so powerful, I am even more interested. I want to see how much trouble you can cause in the Flame Cemetery. Tomb Spirit Master said with a smile. Say it. Not only Xiaoxian, but Bai Ling and Mr. Chen also looked a little confused. Logically speaking, in a place like the Flame Cemetery, all kinds of powerful people emerge in endlessly, including many powerful people from the Dragon God realm. Ordinarily, if there is really a fight for the Blue Flame Staff, it should be dominated by the strong ones in the Dragon God realm. What use can he do if he is only at the peak of the Blue God realm?